Hello, my friend. We are looking at the TIE Fighter today. This TIE Fighter that I'm featuring already put together, I actually assembled in the early 2000s. This was the model that was available way back when. This is 7146 TIE Fighter. And at the end of the video, we shall compare it to what we are going to assemble today, which is the new TIE Fighter. Check it out. This set is it seems like it should be bigger, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's find out as we put it together. Unfortunately, when it was given to me, a little bit of the tape on the back did destroy the picture on the back of the box. Oh well, I guess you can't have everything be a collector's item. So we are going to crack this open. And just to make it so this video is not 50 minutes long, which is about how long it took me to put this together, I am going to speed up the footage from here. Here we go. It'll be fun when we finish this to compare the old against the new, because the original one with the blue edges is nearly 20 years old. Well, definitely is 20 years old. Like it was produced in 2000, and well, it was released in 2001. I mean, and the beauty of it is that we have the opportunity to see the difference in decisions of the creators at LEGO and the detail changes that they chose to do. During this assembly, I was really impressed with just how many little bits and pieces are used in because there's these little round dots with handles that kind of resemble saucer pans that are used on the edges of the wings. Well, not on the edges of the wing, but the center of the wing sections, the solar panel sections of the TIE Fighter. And fascinatingly enough, in Star Wars, the TIE Fighter was the high mobility kind of F-16 of the Empire. And the Empire used them almost exclusively for most of their work. And even though there was 15 other classes of TIE Fighter, the big multi-use device that they would use was these TIE Fighters. Now, the fascinating thing about these TIE Fighters is they had to have been very easy to produce, because literally it was just these two big wings of solar panels which aided in powering a twin ion engine, which is what TIE actually stands for, twin ion engine. And the twin ion engine center core had just enough space for the cockpit and to house the weaponry, which was just lasers. They used just standard blasters to arm this thing, and it wasn't a bomber, it was just a direct fighter. And they had droves of these TIE Fighters throughout the Empire, and that's why they were used so widely. Fascinatingly enough, part of the reason why we see in the Star Wars saga, the reason why we see TIE Fighters get just totally brutally destroyed all the time is because in the event that they are slow enough to get caught by other fighters, they didn't have shielding. And so they were very just straight out there, and they were, if you got hit, you were done. And so it made the TIE Fighter kind of a risky craft to fly, yet because they were so light, they didn't have the extra weight of a star drive or the shield generator or the extra generator to power the star drive and the shield generator. And that being a modification that they used, they were able to get more mobility out of it. And that's why I mentioned kind of like the F-16 of our current Earth ships. The F-16 is extremely mobile. I guess it would be kind of closer to an F-22, but it wasn't really stealthy. So it's kind of a mixture between F-16 and F-22. Take your pick. Both are very highly mobile. They aren't big sluggish vehicles that have a little bit wider of a turn range like the F-35 or the F-15, for example. I mean, and they're definitely not the big bombers like the cargo planes and the big bombers like the B-1 or the B-2. They were small, agile ships, and their agility made them hard to hit, which was kind of like their shields. That's kind of cool. I think it was really awesome. They definitely did their job as a formidable craft in the original three, the 4, 5, and 6. I thought, as I was growing up and watching Star Wars, I was always impressed with the amount of foreboding that all these ships that were all the same color and just this kind of darkish general color scheme, the military dark gray, plus the screech, that they would always produce. And it was a fascinatingly well put together concept. And so I really liked the way that the TIE Fighter was presented and how it played out on the screen. So back to the Lego version, the blue one, you could tell that like they just used little 2-plip panels to create the big X and just basic flat 2x4s and 2x8s to make the kind of vertical cross that's on the solar panels on the sides. And it was very simplistic. And one of the things that kind of frustrated me was in terms of it, because I got it when I was still playing around with ships. I loved it. And the frustrating thing for this particular toy was that the wings were kind of floppy. And I didn't really like that. And so I didn't end up playing with it. It was definitely a very nice model to have, but playing with it was kind of difficult. Now, one thing I'm noticing even at this point in time in the creation, now we're on bag 2. There are 3 bags, so we're 1/3 of the way through. While I was putting together this ship, I noticed that the durability and the just general construction of the TIE Fighter was far better than times past. The wings don't wobble nearly as much. There is a little bit of play because I'm Lego. Sometimes Lego has a little bit of play. That's the reality of it, especially when you're using these Technic-like connections where you connect into the peg into the hole, rather than it being just straight Lego to Lego connections. Those are nice and solid. But in this instance, where you have the 3 pegs that are sticking out, you can just barely see them in the screen up in the top left. The pegs for the old one didn't hold as tightly as they do now. So the tolerances of Lego have definitely gone up in quality, and that's interesting to be able to compare from 20 years ago to today. And it really makes me wonder, like, I need to go hunt down the Legos that I have. I know I have some 1980s Legos, and I need to hunt them down and actually test their tolerances versus the tolerances of Legos today. Now, I don't have a TIE Fighter from that era, but it would be interesting to see how they came up with, or if they would have come up with TIE Fighters back then, what they would have done. So I had to jump to another video because I actually overheated my camera and the camera stopped recording. So sorry about that slight jump, but here we are. As we're assembling the wing, you can definitely tell that even the shape of the wing has changed in accordance to the detail observance that the creators had. I mean, for example, if we look at an original TIE Fighter photo, there are only 6 sides to each solar panel wing. But in the early 2000s or the 2001 edition, there are 8 sides visible on the Lego. It's kind of funny. The detail was missed back then. Now they have fixed that, and these wings do have 6 sides. And they have the elongated vertical side just like it shows in the normal picture. It's really cool. As you can see right there, there are only 6 major sides to the wing. I thought that was a really good touch of class, very well played. Getting all this together, like there's pieces on here that it's like, I don't even know if those are really necessary. They're almost glamour pieces, but they look good. They actually make it, they put it together really well. And I was really impressed. Now, there is definitely a quality change, like in addition to the detail-oriented, there is a quantity change. The 2001 edition only had 169 pieces, whereas the one we are putting together today is 432 pieces. So that kind of gives them a little bit more leeway for detail. Okay, we are coming to the end of the first wing. I love these little barriers that are found on the edges. Like, this is a new detail. style that I have not gotten to experience with Lego. I was pretty impressed with it. So putting that onto the thing, the second wing, or the third bag, is exactly like the first. So I'm going to speed this up even more so that we don't have to go through the whole build of it. The unique piece in this bag was they gave us a stormtrooper, which is not bad, you know. The second wing was put together exactly like the first. There was no detail change at all between the two wings, which is logical because that's what they should be. They should be mirror images to each other. On a fascinating note, it is interesting to look at the cost difference between the early 2000s now versus this version of the TIE Fighter now. The TIE Fighter that we're putting together right now is only $32 at Walmart. But the TIE Fighter from the early 2000s is now worth, used, like I could sell this apparently on eBay for $63. That's a pretty shocking exchange for having only 169 pieces. That's kind of cool. So I brought it back to real time because we have finished. We're done. The two laser bolts fit in here, and they're spring loaded. So I'm going to try to demonstrate that. There you go. You saw it. I shot the laser bolt, and in an effort to keep the spring from dying, I think I'll just keep those slightly sticking out. And let's look at the differences between the two at this point, you know, because we've got the old and the new right next to each other. They are almost exactly the same in size. I would say that the old one, it does appear that the old one is 2 plips taller than the new one, so not bad. They're very close in width and height. That's pretty awesome. Thank you for joining me on this build today, everybody. I am so glad that we have you around. We'll see you next time. Bye.